Hello everyone. So previously we had discussed on the topic build a pattern, right? So that is widely used, one of the widely used patterns as well, builder design pattern. So today we'll be discussing on the topic observer design pattern. Let's see what the definition part says here, right? So the observer pattern defines a one-to-many dependency. Yeah, what it defines actually? It defines the one-to-many dependency between objects, right? So the observer pattern, what it does, it defines one-to-many dependency between objects so that when one object, nothing but the subject here, changes the state, when one object changes the state actually, all its dependents, nothing but the observers, are notified automatically. Yep. So uh, observer patterns, first of all, it defines one-to-many dependency, and as it defines one-to-many dependency here, see between the objects. So when the state of one object changes, all its dependents are notified automatically. It's as simple as that. Yep, just pause the video and take a look into it, right? So have a look into it, this one actually, the definition part. It's very simple, man. Yeah, let's move on with the explanation part. A subject maintains a list of observers. Always remember, a subject maintains the list of observers. Whenever the subject state changes, it notifies all the registered observers without knowing their concrete classes. Yep. Again, a subject maintains the list of observers. We know whenever the subject state changes, right? One object actually means subject state changes, it notifies all the registered observers without knowing their concrete classes. Yeah, that's what the observer pattern does, right? So this is one of the huge advantages, right? So let's do one thing before getting into the this one example code. Right, let's discuss by considering the generic UML for the observer pattern. Let's do that. So let's do one thing. Yeah, let's discuss this one, right? So let's discuss the generic UML for the observer pattern, right? So first, we have the we have the observer here, right? So this part I'm speaking of. So observer, what it does, it is interface actually. Observer is the interface. So what it does actually, it defines a single method called update. This one you can clearly see here. A plus, it is nothing but the public actually. Minus indicates this one private actually, which consists of the or which defines a single method update. Observer, which is the interface, defines the single method update that all observers must implement. Yep, this is fine, I believe. It's simple. Then concrete observer A, this one I'm speaking of, you can clearly see here, right? Concrete observer A or the concrete observer B, this one I'm speaking of. Concrete observer A and the concrete observer B or the concrete observer B, sorry, it implements the observer interface, this interface, right? It implements the, see, you can clearly see the arrow mark here. It implements the observer interface and provide their own update behavior So this one, see, this update and this update, it implements the observer interface and provide their own update behavior. Then let's come to the subject part now. What does the subject do actually here? Subject maintains a collection of observer references, right? Subject, what it does, it maintains a collection of observer interface, this one references, one to many relationship here in this case. So I had stressed this one multiple times. It follows one to many relationship, right? Subject maintains a collection of observer references, nothing but one to many relationship. Next, subject exposes the methods to register. Subject exposes the method to register. So here, subject exposes the methods to register and unregister observers dynamically, right? See here, register observer of observer, unregister observer of observer. What it does, actually, again, subject exposes methods to register and unregister observers dynamically. When the state of the subject changes, it calls notify the observers. This one, the last one. Yeah. When the state of the observer, when the state of the subject changes, it calls the notify servers, right? Notify, let's come to the notify observers here. Notify observers, what it does, it iterates over the observer collection and calls the observer.update and calls observer.update. Again, what it does, it iterates over the observer collection, and it calls the observer dot update on each, right? So subject does not know concrete observer implementation at all. This particular subject, it will not be knowing concrete observer implementations at all. Only it knows only the observer interface, right? It knows only the observer interface, right? So this basically what it does, it ensures loose coupling between the subject and the observers, right? This ensures loose coupling between the subject and the observers. So this is the generic this one UML for the observer pattern. Actually, this is generic this one UML for the observer pattern, right? So we are done with the this one. We are done with or yeah, we are done with the discussion about the generic UML for the observer pattern, right? So next, let's move on with a simple example usage, right? So let's come to the simple example usage here, right? So let's discuss this one step by step. So first, what we are doing here, so we are going with the observer interface. See, we are just going with the observer interface, right? So interface observer. First, we are going with the interface observer here. All the observers must implement this particular thing, right? All the observers must implement this. Yeah. So this is called when the subject changes. Void update in test. So this line, this is called when the subject changes. Then let's come to the part. Let's come to the subject interface again. So interface subject. See here. This is the subject interface. So this, what it does actually, it defines the observer operations. Yeah, it defines the observer operations. So within the interface, subject interface, what it does, first we should be able to register the observer. This one, we should be able to register the observer. Uh, then we should be able to remove the observer as well. See, we should be able to register the observer, remove the observer, and notify all the observers accordingly with the generic UML. So the same thing we are what we have done, the same thing we have articulated in the form of code by making use of the Java programming language here, right? Register observer, remove observer, and notify all observers, right? So this is fine. Next, let's move on with the concrete subject. Actually, concrete subject in the sense this one with a station, right? So this is the concrete subject. Actually, what it does, so this is the class weather station which implements the subject. First, we are storing the observers. This one line, observer new array list, right? So here, so yeah, this stores the observers. Actually, this one line number 22, right? So then in private in temperature, this is nothing but the statement. Yeah. So then we are going with a set temperature method here. Set temperature method. Set temperature. What we are doing? So we are just going with this one. What do we call? We are updating the state, and we are notifying all the observers. That's what we are doing here, right? We are up, uh, updating the state, line number 26, and line number 27, we are notifying all the observers about the state updation. Next, we are going with the add observer here. Add observer method, actually what it does, it adds the observer. You can clearly see here, add of x, right? Remove, then we are going with the remove observer method. Basically, it removes the observer. Then we are going with the notify observers. Basically, what it does, it pushes the, or we have to, or we are pushing the updated state here, right? We are pushing the updated state here, right? So this is fine. So let's come out of this one entirely. Now let's move on with a concrete observer. So this is the concrete observer. Actually, class mobile display, right? So first we are going with a identifier, nothing but the name. N is nothing but the name here, right? So this is the constructor part. Initialization, we have successfully initialized name. Then we are going with a this one void update, right? So update, within the update method, we are just printing this one name along with the received temperature, actually, right? Along with the state change, nothing but the s here in this case. Yep. So this is it for the code. Next, we are going with the example usage. Let's discuss the example usage. So weather state, this one, this is nothing but the this one subject and observer a and b. So this is nothing but the phone 1 and phone 2. Actually, this is nothing but the phone 1 and phone 2, and we have successfully registered phone 1, this one successfully registered this one phone 1 as well as the phone 2 by calling the add observer method. Actually, right? We are passing phone 1 as well as the phone 2. Finally, we are going with a state change, nothing but we are passing 30 here. We are setting the temperature calling the set temperature method and we are passing the 30. This is nothing but the state change actually. Line number 70. If I run the code, see here, we are getting the output phone 1 received temperature 30 and phone 2 received the temperature 30. So what is happening here? Weather station, this one actually. Weather station updates the temperature to 30. So that's what we have considered here, right? This one weather station updates the temperature to 30. So this is fine. Then notify observers is triggered. This one, where is notify observers? Where the heck is notify observers, man? 1 second. So this one, let me remove this one. I have to scroll here, right? Notify observers, this one actually. Yeah, notify observers is triggered. Then phone 1 receives the update. So this one we are calling phone 1, right? Phone 1 receives the update. So it prints the temperature, nothing but 30. And phone 2 receives the update as well, as we are passing phone 2 as well here. uh, it also prints the temperature, right? Temperature for both phone 1 and phone 2 is 30. That is what we are getting here as output. Phone 1 received temperature 30, phone to receive temperature 30. So we are getting the correct output here. We are getting the correct output. So this is it for the observer pattern. It's as simple as that. Yep. So now let's discuss some of the real world applications of the observer pattern. So first thing here, mainly it is used in the, you would have already guessed this one, right? Mainly it is used in the notification system, right? So whether it may be email, SMS, push alerts, right? It consists of email, SMS, push alerts. This is very helpful in the notification system. Usually we make use of the observer pattern itself in the notification system, right? So second one, it is used in the stock market apps actually. It is used in the stock market apps, sorry, apps. Observer pattern, usually it is used in the stock market apps, right? Mainly for the price updates, in my opinion. Yeah. So mainly for the price updates, actually. If you would have used the stock market apps, any app actually, for the price updates, usually we'll be making use of the observer pattern itself. Next, let's move on with the this one. What do we call? Event listeners and GUI frameworks, right? Event listeners and GUI frameworks, right? So usually we make use of the this one observer, this one, yeah, yeah, listeners, right? Sorry, uh, we make use of the observer pattern in the event listeners in the GUI frameworks. Yeah, this is one of the real world applications as well. The fourth one, it is used in the news subscription systems. It is used in the news subscription systems as well. The final one, there are many applications. Let's consider some 4 or 5. That is more than enough actually. Yeah, it is usually used in the live dashboard observer pattern, and also it is used in the monitoring tools. There are many monitoring tools, right? So it is observer pattern is used in the monitoring tools. As far as I know, it is definitely used in the monitoring tools actually. These are some of the real world applications of the observer pattern, right? So we are done with the done yeah, we are done with the real world applications of the observer pattern. Next, we have come to the final part actually, time and the space complexity. Nothing but the complexities part, right? What would be the time complexity here? The time complexity would lead to big O of n, right? So the time complexity would lead to big O of n. So why the time complexity here is big O of n? Because notifying n observers requires iterating over all observers at once, right? So overall time complexity would quite obviously lead to big of n. So what would be the space complexity here? Space complexity would lead to big of n as well. Space complexity would lead to big of n as well, because subject stores references to n observers, means all the observers that are present, right? So overall space complexity would lead to big of n as well. So the time complexity and the space complexity for the code that we have written would lead to big of n and big of n respectively, right? So this is it for the observer pattern. Just remember this one line. This is very important. Observer pattern, what it does, it enables the loose coupling by allowing multiple objects to react automatically to the state changes in another object, right? So, yep, this is it for the observer pattern. Next, tomorrow we'll be discussing on the topic decorator design pattern, right? So for now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.